Every single Wednesday I go to the shop, spend more than I should on comics. I buy my home and a can of pop. It's Wednesday, I wanna go to the shop, even if it hurts my wallet. I might cut back, but I'm never gonna stop.
Hello and welcome to the Pull List Podcast. I'm live streaming? What? No, it always says, it's like it says it's going to live stream and then it doesn't. The way that it, sorry, I'll start over. That doesn't.
Clip it.
Clip it, yeah. Hello and welcome to the Pull List Podcast. I'm your host, Kendall. With me as always is Jared.
Good afternoon or good morning or whenever you're listening to this. Good night.
Yeah. Good. That's what they used to say on Coast to Coast AM. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Live from somewhere deep beneath the earth. Did you ever listen to Coast AM?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like that's probably where I subconsciously probably got that from.
Yeah, that was like my subliminal introduction to podcasting, even though it wasn't really a podcast. Although they did, and I mean they probably still have this. It's like this. So for those listening who are, never listened to this obscure talk radio show that was on from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. 20 years ago, I don't even know if it might still be on. The problem is that conspiracy theories aren't as fun as they used to be. So I stayed away from it, but yeah, it was on like the conservative talk radio channels, but it wasn't necessarily conservative, or if it was, then it was I didn't catch that part, but it was on from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. and they would just have like crazy people on, talking about ghosts and JFK.
The only time that you could, yeah.
It was some interesting stuff, but they did have, like, in the early days of podcasting in like 2006. I got it on my iPod. You could pay like $6 a month to get a commercial-free version of the show.
Oh.
And if you ever listened to the commercial-free version of this 4-hour show, you would realize that like
it was like
it's like a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Like they this is commercial. Not only is it commercial radio, it's like commercial news radio. So they would have these like, they'd have like the 5-minute
bumpers and stuff,
news break in between stuff, and just like, yeah, tons of commercials, tons of like the hosts doing ad reads and everything. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, it was something, but yeah, Coast to Coast. I think about that show a lot. I stopped listening to it when they when the first guy that said Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States was on. He was actually a Hillary Clinton staffer that kind of came up with that, and then obviously the conservatives ran with it and crazy people ran with it. But you had one nutcase that came up with a racist conspiracy theory, and then other racists jumped on it. Anyway, but yeah, I stopped listening at that point because I feel like that was kind of when more of the conspiracy theories became more like, or at least you noticed the racism, I guess, because there definitely were like anti-Semitic, like, theories that the Zionists were controlling the media and everything. But I guess that 9/11. I don't know. I had a conversation at one point. I was like, conspiracy theories used to be fun, stuff like 9/11 and JFK, and people were like, 9/11 actually wasn't very fun.
Well, I was just watching. Do you ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I haven't in probably 15 years, but I have watched it before. Yeah.
Well, I've watching it recently. I've been watching Abbott Elementary, and they did a crossover. And
oh wow!
Yeah, well, it's funny because they do one episode from Abbott's point of view and one from Sonny's, and I'm watching Sonny's where they can cuss, and but the whole gang gets stuck at a lunch table and they don't leave because they keep talking about conspiracy theories, and so it starts off something little, and then going into like, can jet fuel really melt steel beams, and then it's just like extrapolating just like all kinds of other crazy conspiracy theories,
Okay,
which
but
may or
comic
may not be
books.
true. Yeah.
So what have you been reading?
I was going to say, if we wanted to, speaking of conspiracies, Secret Harem, that could be a good transition into Superman. But in terms of what I've been reading, I kind of pared down my pull list to it seems like the ultimate and absolute universes. I still have like Spider Man, some GI Joe, um, but I have to say, um, Ultimate Universe still pretty fun. Black Panther's not bad. It's kind of a little bit boring. It's probably my least favorite of what I'm reading so far. I'm not reading X Men. I think that's the only absolute book I'm not reading right now. Ultimates has been really great. Um, and I think I heard something, and actually I think I heard this from Heroes and Games that like Peach Momoko kind of released that here soon. Everything is going to be kind of wrapping up, um, and they'll just be moving on. I'm sure there'll
Well,
probably be some,
she
character
posted
transfer.
something, or I think her husband posted something, and then
Like inadvertently. Oh, did they
that
actually?
that was actually not true, like that there was a
Okay, good.
misunderstanding. Yeah.
I hope that's complete BS because I mean I think there's definitely a lot of potential, and it sounds like they were even looking to expand on it. But Wolverine, I think that's getting to be a little bit better. I like that a lot more.
Mhm.
I mean the Ultimates. I think Dennis Camp is anything he's writing has just been excellent. I really like the Incursion kind of add-ins as well. Um,
The Spider
and
Man.
yeah, and I think it's one of those two where it's almost like um, I could probably drop Black Panther, and as long as I'm still reading Incursion, have a good idea what's going on. And those books kind of seem separate, anyways. But anyway, that's great. I've been really enjoying it, especially with Spider-Man. A bunch of twists and turns, and I laughed the last issue, and I love that Peter's son has like the black Spider-Man like
Hmm.
picto suit or whatever, and um, Miles, or I think this might have been Incursion where he talked about, do you have a name yet? And he's like, do you, I know someone named Venom. He's like, oh, please don't use that name. He's like, too late. That's me. It's like, that's me. I'm Venom. And I'm like, oh no, like, but that's like such a funny way to like give his son that
Yeah.
name, or even potentially like introduce it into the universe. And it'd be kind of funny if he ends up getting um, a symbiote somehow first. Um,
So I
but
got
there's
caught
some cool
up.
parts, I
I
think.
got caught up on Ultimate X Men up to 3 months behind. I've been
Okay.
reading a lot of Marvel Unlimited, and I would recommend reading Ultimate X Men in big chunks rather than single issues, because it's weird. It's really I think it's really good and really interesting, but it is wild. Um,
I saw
it's
first volume on Hoopla, but I just got like a comic dump and just went through all
Yeah,
that. So I'll get
yeah.
to it.
It's I would say the first volume is like I think it gets stronger as it goes. I think I'm like 14 issues in, um, and I would say like after after the first volume is when it really gets stronger. It's like just these. It's like a really weird take on these characters who are like they're not the X, like they're not even the ultimate versions of, it's not even the ultimate version of Cyclops, but it's clearly a character who is inspired by Cyclops
Okay.
or other, other characters.
Yeah.
And it's also like super manga anime feeling in a way that's like it feels like I'm not even reading a Marvel title. And but still, yeah, telling a really interesting story. It's like these mutants are coming. It's in this like I forget the name what they call it, but it's basically Japan. It's the Japan of the Ultimate Universe, which is not
Oh
Japan.
yeah, like Tokyo or some
It's
special.
it's called like
I'm thinking of.
Miso Kuno or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like another anime. But I don't want to speculate too much because I'll probably sound racist. Um, but um, but yeah, you are following. I think the main character is Armor. Um,
Okay.
so that's obviously a character we know, and it's sort of her dealing with her mutant power, but there's also this other mutant power. But she had a friend that killed himself, and then other people killed themselves, and it's related to this like got with this other mutant that's got like these like hallucination demony powers or something. And then there's like this cult that are the children of the atom, and
Mm.
and there's a thing. It's really hard to explain, but I would say, but it's one of those things where it's like it's hard for me to explain it to you. But if you read it, especially if you read it in big chunks, you will be able to follow the story. There is a compelling, interesting story. It also helps. This is something that I've noticed. Like, the recap pages in at the beginning of Marvel Comics, they don't just help if you don't remember the book from a month ago. They also help if you maybe kind of misunderstood what happened in an issue. And so if you read the issue and then you read the recap page, um, not that you can't follow the story without the recap pages, but like if you
Yeah.
misunderstood because these because the art style is something you're not used to looking at, and these two characters look similar, or these two characters, they both have Japanese names, so they're not, so you like don't remember which one's which, kind of thing. um
That's
that
good.
that really helps. But I will say, man, I'm hanging on to Ultimates by a thread. I just
Oh yeah.
like they just need to, and I mean, I guess it's going to be like 3 months from now or whatever, but they just need to tell them, the maker just needs to come back, and they just need to tell the story. Like, I feel like Ultimate started really strong, and then they've just been sort of, it's felt like they were treading water. It's like they feel like they can't make any real progress. um
Yeah, I think the Iron Lad thing was kind of like the big twist, but after that, it's kind of, I mean, I agree, it's kind of plateaued. It really hasn't kind of gone. I'm kind of expecting a lot more to take place,
and
especially after that
like the
Nick
last, like,
Fury issue.
I feel like the last 2 or 3 issues have been very, like, one of them they were like literally, they spent the whole issue saying that nothing had happened, that they had made no progress. And I was like, you don't need to remind me of that. Like, I was already kind of thinking that, and you don't need to remind me of that. And then this most recent issue has been like, okay, well, now we're really starting. And it's like, you said that a couple times already. This is three, you're on your third reboot in 17 issues. I don't know. So I'm hanging by a thread. I think I'm gonna stick it out for the next few issues. And honestly, I think that the maker stuff is like, there's so much more interesting stuff going on. I wish they would just knock out the maker stuff, and then just let
See where it goes
us
from there.
tell the Spider-Man story. Let us tell the X-Men story. Tell a new story with the Ultimates. Like, because part of my problem with I mean, my one little problem with Ultimate Spider-Man is that in the back of my mind I have to keep reminding myself he's not in the United States. He's in this weird version of the United States. And now Ultimate Wolverine, though, has I feel like has gone some interesting directions. Like, that's pretty solid. Um, the So I've been reading the same stuff I've been reading, and I don't have a lot of to say as far as new books. Um, I
Are you
did
reading
read
Martian
the.
Manhunter?
I haven't read Martian Manhunter. No.
Man, that's a wild book. It's a lot of fun. That's one of those, like, if I would recommend, and I mean, even Absolute Batman's good, even Wonder Woman, and even kind of bringing up like recap pages. I, I can't remember. I want to say it was, I think, Wonder Woman, where the new arc starts, had a recap page.
Hmm.
And that's the first time I've seen like a DC. The last time I could remember seeing a DC recap page.
Yeah, when
So
Bendis came over to DC, he did recap pages on his Superman books for a little while. But that's interesting. Um, yeah, we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. So I want to hit a few things of what
sure,
I've
sure.
been reading. First of all, did you read the new Chip Zdarsky Captain America?
No, I have not. I plan to, but you can talk about it if you'd like to. I'm kind
So yeah,
of
I mean
up on it.
it's a very first issue. So I went into it. I had heard that it was good, and I'm like, Chip Zdarsky is he's very boom or bust for me,
Sure.
and the last few things that I've read, I haven't been as big a fan of his. So I was pretty hesitant. I also Captain America is a character that I got super burnt out on. I kind of have felt like for I had an epiphany that for the last 20 years everybody's just been trying to recapture the magic that Brubaker had and hasn't really done a lot of new stuff with the character. Remender had his run that with the where he went to Planet Z that was kind of interesting, but a lot of the stuff since then has just been trying to either trying to ape uh, Brubaker style or just leaning into the like some of the same like World War II Captain America's a good good guy kind of themes that I didn't love. So I was like I sat down with the issue. I was like, okay, I have to see something that I haven't seen before with this issue. Like if I'm gonna keep, if I'm trying to go into it with an open mind. People seem to like it. I need to see something that I haven't seen before. And basically, I got something that I hadn't seen before, which is a retelling of his post Frozen, not quite origin, but like a flashback to him. Like I got frozen, he got frozen like unfrozen like a month ago, and having it take place in the 2010s instead of the 60s or the 70s. Um, so he's dealing with like a post 9/11 world where there's like and he stops like a Gulf War veteran from blowing up the UN and sort of dealing with that like it's kind of like what they did a little bit of this in the movies, but I haven't really seen a lot of Man Out of Time recently unfrozen stories. And then also there's another story of a guy that's like really affected by 9/11 and basically becomes the 9/11 Captain America. Like he's the he like a lot of people our age uh was really affected by 9/11 and then joined the military after that, sort of in that world. And but then like there were parallels to the Steve Rogers story where he's like all scrawny and stuff and then becomes the Captain America of 2002. And that's honestly like we've seen the Captain America that came out of Vietnam. We've seen the Captain America that was more 90s. We've seen a bunch of different people who were trying to be the corrupted the Captain America of this modern corrupted time, but we haven't seen it with that era yet, and I think that's an interesting thing. Um, and then just a couple more quick things. I got a Kindle Fire and side loaded Marvel Unlimited onto it, so I've just been reading so much Marvel Unlimited because it is way better to read on a tablet than a phone. How do you read your digital
Oh yeah,
comics?
tablet.
You
I
have,
think I just have like
you have a
a
tablet?
yeah. I bought my son. I think we can go through them a little bit, but I think I've just got like a $99 one or whatever
Mm-hmm.
from like Target or Walmart just for comics. I just kind of keep around.
Yeah, I got because every time I've wanted a tablet, I've been like, well, I can spend $100 to $150 on a tablet, and like maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. I would probably only use it for comics. Like I'm not. There's a lot of that stuff that I don't quite. It's like I don't quite get the need for it, kind of thing. Um, or I can get a Kindle Fire for like $50, but then I have to sideload Marvel Unlimited, and I didn't realize how easy it was to sideload Marvel Unlimited. You
Oh
just
yeah, that's good.
yeah, you just download the file from like a one of those sites that you have to where there's 700 different buttons that say download and you have to figure out which one is the one that doesn't delete your computer. Um,
Yeah.
but you do it on your new tablet, so you don't have to worry about them deleting all your files. And plus, your tablet has the stuff, and then you have to have like an app that you can get from the App Store that um, that then takes that file and makes and installs it, and then you just have it, and it seems to work all right. But because of that, uh, well, first of all, I've read a lot of. This isn't Marvel Unlimited, but I read a lot of. I read. I'm about 30 issues into the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run,
Oh,
which
nice.
I'm really enjoying. But I'll probably like when I get to a bigger thing, I'll probably talk about that more. It's real good all the way from the beginning. Like I would say, it is as good as the stuff that Jason Aaron is putting out. So definitely worth checking out, and it's in continuity with that stuff. So like it gives you additional context. Um, and then I somebody on Reddit said something that set me spinning. Basically, somebody posted a picture of a Punisher logo that some militia hate group was co-opting the Punisher logo,
Mm.
and somebody posted and they said, I hate that my favorite character gets co-opted by these groups and it got ruined by these groups, and I'm like, your favorite character? Ugh. And then like there's a bunch of people saying, "Oh, obviously these guys haven't read the comics because the Punisher is nothing like this." Da, 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 da. And like people were making all kinds of claims about Punisher comics, claiming that these people have read the comics and these people haven't read the comics, and it's like, no, actually, none of you have read the comics, or if you have, you've read like you know 6 issues of a comic that or more likely you saw a YouTube video of somebody else who had read some comics and talking about it. But like they were talking about like how Frank would never kill like random criminals. He only kills the masterminds, and that he's happy to kill cops and all this stuff. That is just like, I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I sat down and I read all of Garth Ennis's Marvel Knights run.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I remember you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
asking something about
Well,
that.
yeah, I messaged you because it's some of it's real good, some of it's not so good, and I was just kind of curious as to like if that's what everybody says, or if it's like
I think when people talk about Punisher, a lot of them, I mean, they're not reading the old war journals or even any of like the old like 80s books. They're just reading like top 10 Punisher runs or just the Garth Ennis stuff. I
yeah,
mean, they're just reading the popular stuff. So, I mean, they don't see the indiscriminate killing. I mean, especially bad guys, but I think other depending on what era you read, and obviously who's writing it.
right, right, right,
Um, then do you want to go into does it have to be in
yeah,
continuity?
yeah,
Because obviously Max isn't in there, and Max is way violent,
yeah.
and
But I'm working on I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm working on a pretty extensive video essay breakdown
ooh,
of it. But really, it's like, first of all, I just wanted to sit down and really read like a run that was like a pretty renowned run, and just see like is there credence to the stuff that people are saying. And my takeaway basically is, first of all, even amidst Garth Ennis's run, which has a pretty consistent take on the character, there are there are some inconsistencies with the character. He's a fictional character, and yeah, especially if you read other runs or like older runs or whatever, like it's just a completely different take on the character. So there's no one monolithic version of the character. Um, and yeah, yeah. I mean, mainly so, but like the main takeaway is like he shouldn't ever aspire to be the Punisher, to be more like the Punisher. Um, the Punisher, I mean, at least in that run and everything that I've seen, he does not ever kill cops. Like no matter, that is the line that he won't cross.
yeah,
Um, and a couple times, and at least twice, but probably more, the Punisher definitely kills people who are just drug addicts. Like at the very beginning of the run and the very end of the run, he kills somebody who is just a drug addict. At the beginning of the run, the drug addict does say that they are planning on selling drugs, but don't actually. But he kills them. At the end of the run, his drug addict informant, he's like, "Did you stop doing heroin?" And he's like, "No," and then he kills him. So
Well, so now that's something too. Like, and you know what I would be interested in, even maybe a larger study, like based on the writers. I mean, is that basically what Garth Ennis would seriously consider, a
mm,
crime is drug usage? Would others, are, what's the low bar for everyone's, like, I guess, I don't know
right. Yeah,
how bad the criminal is getting
yeah,
murdered.
that's an interesting thought too. I mean, I would say most of Garth Ennis's run, he is kind of writing him as a very like early 2000s. He's a the characters do call him out for his problem, for his willingness to uh like there's one
Kill.
arc in particular where there's a social worker with him, and basically she points out that he tends to target the blue collar criminals over the white collar criminals, and some other things. But I would say generally Garth Ennis's goal with that run was to be like Punisher's cool. Like whether he's a good guy or a bad guy doesn't matter. He's cool. He's a badass.
Yeah.
That's I think, and also yeah, Garth Ennis, lots of homophobia, lots of fat phobia, but it's like 2000. It's literally
Yeah, that's
2001.
like such a hallmark of that
Like
time. I mean,
yeah,
people were calling each other,
yeah, and he's trying to
names
be
and
edgy in that sense. You know.
well, and then yeah, and I just keep thinking of like Preacher
Mm,
and books like that,
yeah,
and
yeah. All right.
other stuff that he's written.
So we will get to Superman, but let's talk about DC New Frontier, which is not called Justice League New Frontier. It is called DC New Frontier, which I for some reason I thought it was Justice League New Frontier. Maybe the movie's Justice League New Frontier. Um,
It might be, I bet.
but this was Darwin Cooke. It was on some list that you found that said it was the best DC story ever written. Um,
Yeah, I think it was on actually the DC Comics sub.
it's yeah, it's about it's sort of in Elseworlds. I mean, yeah, it's an Elseworlds story about
Yeah,
the JSA walked away when the HUAC tried to get him to name names, and then like lots of stuff that happened, and then it takes place basically in like 50, 56, 55, 56,
post World War
post World
II,
War
like
II.
America,
Yeah, Hal Jordan fought in Korea.
McCarthyism.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and sort of
Soviet scare, Red
yeah,
Scare.
yeah, and sort of that, how these characters would be interacted in this context. What's your first reaction, first big picture take?
Though I thought it was, I mean, it's interesting because I think you have some of the Golden Age heroes kind of meeting with some of the newer age heroes with like Hal and John Jones, and you're kind of coming together, obviously, to fight the center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even, I mean, at the end game, Superman's just kind of swatted away, and he's basically donezo for the rest of the fight, and you get to see other characters kind of take over. But I think it was kind of based on the time too, where they're making kind of like superheroes illegal, and the Flash has to decide. Is it going to be a heroism, or is he going to kind of stay hidden in the shadows? Is people kind of rising to the occasion?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John Jones kind of takes, um, or kind of embraces him being an alien. I think kind of people step into those positions, and like Hal, I think he has a really interesting story where Flag hates him because he won't kill, or he refuses to kill, and he's fighting in a war, and the only time he does is when it was either kill or be killed, and that's haunting him ever
Mm-hmm.
since. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's a really interesting kind of personal struggle, and still has all those really neat kind of origin
Yeah.
stories to, at least for Hal and something else. So it was a nice Elseworld type of story. Um, I mean, the art was beautiful. Um, it was just the center was kind of a cool villain. It wasn't, anything else really that we've seen before, like a single individual superhero's villain. It was kind of something everyone could kind of band against, but just really kind of interesting story, even with a bunch of other like the John Henry subplots and some other stuff
Yeah.
too. I think it all kind of tied together nicely.
So I mean, I think it was definitely well crafted. Um, and I do agree with a lot of the stuff that you said. It was interesting seeing these different takes on characters. I felt like I barely knew enough history to keep up with it. Like there was some, the only reason I know who Chuck Yeager is because we had a podcast where we watched the movie The Right Stuff like a year or two ago. But there was a lot of stuff that was like sort of paralleling that story. And then obviously, yeah, the John Henry stuff was pretty straightforward. Violence in the South and the news story being like very Edward R. Murrow. Like I felt like I was probably missing like 75% of the references to the actual historical stuff. And then all on top of that, there was like all these DC comics Easter eggs, where they'd be
Sure.
like, the one that I caught, and I was and like all and like completely like took me out of the experience was there was a pilot who has one line who's like trainer here, and I was like, trainer, I know that name. Who is that? And I had to look it up, and that's the Negative Man from the Doom Patrol, who was a test pilot, and then like something happened, and he's all wrapped in bandages. But it was like I felt like there were a few too many of those Easter eggs, and then that kind of hindered the storytelling. Also, there were a lot of characters and a lot of subplots. I'm not sure if I had this if this is one that maybe if I was reading it one issue at a time instead of all at once and like let it kind of sit with me a little bit if I'd have been able to follow it better, but it was a lot. Um,
I took some history classes, so like a lot of in college, I took like a lot of World War II, Vietnam, kind of post. I didn't do Korean War, so some of that stuff was over my head. So I think that that definitely helped me. Um, I mean, I don't know how. I think it was good. I can't. I mean, I wouldn't put it as number one. Um,
yeah, my
I'm glad I read
my
it.
history knowledge I did not take any history classes that were not music history classes in college. And in high school, my U.S. history class was taught by, I think, the basketball coach. Like he wasn't even the football coach. He might have been like the assistant football coach. I don't know, but it was like
Very possible.
I had realized it was like the point. It was the point in my high school career where I like realized that not all the classes I take need to be the hardest possible classes. So I didn't take AP U.S. history. I took stupid people U.S. history and
Jim Coach history.
didn't regret it except for apparently I don't know. But I did get a lot of the historical references because I've seen lots of movies. So which probably a lot of the historical references were more based on the movies than the actual history anyway. but but
Or those references.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I liked it. I think it's yeah, yeah. I think it to put it on a pedestal. I don't think it's quite as like it's no Watchmen. Um,
Yeah, that's something too. If I really sat down, I'm sure I could probably come up with, you know, a trade or 6 issues that I find are
mhm,
stronger.
mhm. Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah, it's no Watchmen. It's no Long Halloween. It's no whatever. I don't know. It might be one of the better like Justice League books. But I was also expecting it to be a Justice League title. So when we were on
okay.
chapter 14 and the team hadn't really gotten together, like we were just telling a bunch of unrelated things. There were some things that I really like. I really like John Jones. Like I really liked a lot of the individual characters. Like if you'd have just like edited it together so it was just a Green Lantern origin, I think I would have really liked that. Or if we'd have just told the Martian Manhunter story, I really liked John Jones. Kind of learning who humans are by watching television. I always love that, and I think this is a thing elsewhere. I don't think it's just from New Frontier, but that John Jones has his human form for when he's trying to look human. He's got his Martian form for when he's just being a Martian, and then he's got that like in between form where he's like a less scary looking Martian. I
See, that's his sexy form.
I really like
refer to it as
that.
his sexy
I
form.
just really like that. I don't know what like who thought of that originally.
Or it's like his softer form. Yeah, that is.
I just
where I can still be a Martian, but
yeah.
a little bit
It's
softer
great.
on the eye.
It reminds me of the remember in Galaxy Quest when they like try they're like
Oh, I haven't seen
they
that
go
in a while.
around like the aliens in Galaxy Quest. They're trying to be humans, but they like look weird and they talk like this.
Yeah.
And so when you first meet them like he thinks that's their alien form, but actually that's their human form. And the one time they reveal themselves as their alien form, and they're like called tentacle monsters and stuff. But yeah, I really liked that. I liked the twist of that Batman and Superman, like Superman confronted Batman, but but actually they had planned to make it look like Batman got the one up on him. And some of the stuff, some of the stuff with Batman, like I liked a lot of the little vignettes. I think I would have liked a stronger, like overall larger narrative. And I also kind of felt like, I don't know, I kind of felt like the center being I would have liked it if the villain was more of a character as opposed to just like a force of nature.
Sure.
Like I don't know. It was sort of, and I think I had read the first volume before, but I don't think I had read the whole thing. But good to have experienced it. I would recommend it. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I've got that Captain America on my mind. I wouldn't mind I think that now that we're 25 years removed from 9/11, I wouldn't mind a retelling of the Justice League origin in the post 9/11 world, and sort of analyzing that sort of thing in the context of the Islamophobia and homophobia of the early 20th century. I will say the John Henry thing, I was pretty bummed that they killed him. That I thought he was a really neat concept for a character.
I thought he was joining the team.
It's kind of a bummer that the one black character in the entire series was completely defined by his family, and then him being killed in hate crimes after a little girl calls him the N-word. That was kind of a bummer. I think probably if this sort of thing had been written today, you would have had a better version of the character. Also, although I liked the way they wrote Lois, although she didn't have a ton to do, and Wonder Woman, I kind of liked the way that what they did with her. Like it wasn't the most, but it definitely wasn't the most inclusive and diverse cast.
I mean, it was interesting seeing them essentially go from government-sponsored superheroes to breaking away from that and finding some morality, but still keeping them kind of like second fiddle in the background a lot too.
Yeah. All right, so I think we got the feel for that. Next month, did you want to go back to Ultimate Spider-Man, or do you want to read something else? What are you thinking?
Maybe we could use a little palate cleanser. I think that new Harley Quinn fart issue came out. I think it's a double sauce. Kidding. We could we could come up with something else. I wouldn't mind maybe find something else, something new. Do you want to do something like independent, maybe a little off the map?
Sure, sure. Is there any
I don't
is there
have
any
anything
indie
on
stuff
in
indie stuff
particular.
that's
I was
good?
just going to think.
Has anyone ever written a good comic for let me Google that. Good comics by from not from the DC and Marvel. Um, you know what I
Some
haven't read?
actually
You
trying
know
to
what
think
I
some
haven't
like
read?
self-contained image.
I haven't read Tom King's Sheriff of Babylon.
I was thinking about that a couple days ago because I have a Mitch Garrett signed bookmark from Sheriff of Babylon hidden
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere.
I think you probably
Um,
have read it, but that's okay. I mean, yeah.
no, many years ago, but no, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, that was really good because I mean, I keep hearing about Tom King. I think he's writing a Supergirl movie.
Well, it's based
So I'm like,
on.
oh, that's right.
Is
Like,
he writing it, or is it just based on his Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow run?
oh no, it might be based on it, but he has some TV
Uh,
credits, so I think he's been brought in. I don't know if maybe doing some producing, but I think he's been kind of brought in by James
mhm.
Gunn on some writing stuff too. But yeah, no, it was excellent. I was thinking about that, so I think
Sure, let's
that'd
do
be good
Sheriff
to
of Babylon.
revisit.
We can do Woman of Tomorrow at some point too, because that was pretty
I
good.
wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
But I think we both read Woman of Tomorrow, or did I just read Woman of Tomorrow?
I think it
Okay,
was just you.
yeah, we can we can come back to that at some point. But it's I mean, yeah, I'm Tom King is my favorite writer right now. I think as far as I mean, Dan Slott is probably my favorite like all time, like his work of his all time whole career spanning. But as far as writers who I will pick up just about anything that they write because it's them, Tom King is my guy, and I haven't read the thing that basically made him, got him all of his
I'll
jobs.
kind of kick it off. Yeah.
So, yeah, let's do that. Let's do Sheriff of Babylon. Um, but speaking of sheriffs, I don't know. But Superman, but Superman.
Big Blue.
Thoughts on the movie?
So I took my son to see it. He's 6. He got through the bathroom 3 times. I am looking forward to going to see it again by myself, where I can sit through the entire thing and not have to watch the missed parts on my phone later afterwards. But um, it is so nice just to have another awesome comic book movie experience that's not Marvel. Um, I I was so excited coming into this. I mean, everything that I loved has been expounded by everybody on the internet so many times. I mean, Mr. Terrific was awesome. Guy Gardner was awesome. Hawkgirl was awesome. I mean, Superman himself was great. There are just so many really cool scenes. And I mean, I guess like the only thing I don't know that I haven't heard about that I'll mention is that, and I've even heard some other people, I don't know, kind of complain or say, hey, getting kind of tossed in this world may be kind of difficult to keep up with, but not everyone may know about Superman or anything else like that. I mean, I think they covered a lot of that, but I mean, do we want to go back to the 3 hour comic book movies? Because that's what you would
Mhm.
get. You would have that hour would be that origin story. I mean, do you want to get, and I mean, even Fantastic Four is going to be under 2 hours by like 2 minutes, but I think, that's what, um, by not pushing out the movie time, keeping it condensed, cutting off that origin story. And I think people have explained it too, where James Gunn doesn't treat people like idiots. He doesn't necessarily hold your hand through it. So I appreciate getting dropped into the middle of it, or seeing Superman 3 years after, and that little text explanation is fine enough for me. Dropped me right into the space. I knew exactly what was going on, and I heard saying, it's like nonstop, and I was expecting nonstop. But to be honest, there was that initial fight, and it definitely slowed down, caught everybody up, and set the stage for what I thought was a lot of fun. A lot of great characters. I don't think it was muddied at all. I thought everything brought to it exactly what it needed. Would we have liked to see more people of the Bugle? or the Globe, or I can't remember what
The
uh,
Daily Planet.
Daily Planet. Yeah, geez, how many newspapers I go through? Yeah, I mean, would I like to see more of them? Sure. Were they great at what they were at? Yes. I think crypto. There's so many little characters that stole the individual scenes. It just for me, I'm excited to see it again. And I'm really excited just to see it doing better numbers than what's expected, and that's something too. As being like a super biased comic book fan, I expect like I don't know the movies of old, or just like the sales of old, where everything is just a billion sales and
Mhm.
everything, and I expect everyone to get excited about everything. But I think sales are going to keep going up, or I think they'll stay steady. I think word of mouth is going to continue to go through, and I think everybody should be excited for
Yeah,
what's going forward with DC Comics. And Marvel should be at least a little bit scared, or at least like, hey, we seriously have
yeah,
competition now. We can't fuck
yeah.
off.
I mean, the thing is, so first of all, as far as sales numbers, I just like I've gotten into I accidentally got into a conversation with people about sales, and like there are I've never I've never not regretted getting in those conversations.
Yeah.
I tried to mute myself there.
Well, I definitely don't know enough about finances, but it's whenever I can see a good movie do better than expected.
Yeah,
It's
I
good to
just
see.
yeah, whether it's better than expected, whether it's friggin' it's got to make $1 billion in order to make a profit because of blah 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 blah. Who cares? But it was a good. The thing is, we finally have a good modern superhero movie, not superhero, Superman movie that I can recommend to basically anyone. Without asterisk. Like
100%.
I mean, as far as the beginning, like when my wife and I saw the trailer, we were afraid that there was gonna be a 45-minute Smallville sequence because there's a bunch of scenes in the trailer where you know Clark's sitting with Pa Kent, and we were afraid that that was going to be a huge chunk at the beginning of the movie that we've seen, that we saw in Man of Steel, that we've seen in Smallville, that we've seen other places. It's like what I was saying about Captain America earlier. Like I needed this movie after after numerous attempts at making a Superman movie, after Superman television shows, Superman and Lois and Smallville and the animated series just doing so much with this character. Um, after all that, I needed them to do something new, something that they haven't done before, and they did, and they starting it off, and it's a perfect elevator pitch. Superman has just lost his first fight, and that's so great, and because it says so much about how people look at him. I mean, yes, they are unsure about him because he got involved in politics, but also like when that first like giant whatever it is that the Justice Gang shows up and helps him with, um, like nobody is running scared from it. Everybody is taking pictures on their phone because they know Superman is going to save them, and that's like so. I think that's such an important thing. Like nobody is the citizens of Metropolis are not afraid because Superman has kept them safe all this time, and now this story is where they are just having their first doubts. He either because he is defeated by Ultraman, or because he's maybe sticking his nose into places where he's not thinking or whatever. Just a great version of that character. I went in. I mean, I'm very on the record of being pretty anti James Gunn. A lot of, I mean, his Guardian stuff, I'm not a fan of, and the Suicide Squad, I'm not a fan of. So I went into this with some hesitation, and he just blew me away. Like there were I mean, there's a few James Gunn jokes in there that kind of took me out of it a little bit, but it was few enough. I felt like he was restrained. Like I don't know if he himself like just took the character more seriously, or like was like I need to make sure, even though this is silliness and campy or whatever, this is a serious endeavor, so I need to endeavor to make a not just you know,
I
silly
bet
joke
that's
after
it.
joke, or if it
I
was,
would be.
or
I
maybe it
think
was editorial. I mean, it could have been editorial interference. Like other people involved with the movie that were willing to tell him no, where they wouldn't have been willing to tell him no in Guardians of the Galaxy. Uh, I kind of wonder if this just was under enough scrutiny.
Well, this is like his. I mean, this is going to be his
Right,
universe. I think they're kind of giving
right.
him
And if this had
carte
been
blanche. So
bad, then they would have, they would have thrown out everything, and we'd have a new universe featuring, you know, some, I don't even know who, some obscure character.
Zack Snyder is back
They'd bring
again to
Zack
come
Snyder
back
back,
and bring
or
it
they
all up.
would, you know, have Michael
James
Keaton,
Cameron wants
Michael
a crack
Keaton
at
as
it.
Batman, or George Clooney as Batman, or something. Like, who knows?
Oh yeah, I can see them
Who,
rehash
who
that.
knows what they would do?
No, but yeah, I can't wait to see it set up. And also too, I love that he had some feats of strength, like blowing them all out of like a black hole. It's pretty amazing. And even at the end, like in Act Three, and I've seen some people say, "Oh, he got his butt kicked, got his butt kicked." I mean, obviously explained to him he went 3 years, beating up metahumans, and now he's, obviously Lex has been watching his every move, but he puts it on the engineer and Ultraman and um, Ultraman. I swear, I thought when they took his mask off, it was Henry Cavill. I thought it was his face with
that
the
would have
long
been
hair,
that
like
would have
from
been so
Mexico.
great if it had been revealed.
Oh,
Well, because no, but that would have been what it would have been. Is it would have been Henry Cavill, and it would have been what you think Ultraman is going to be. Um, I'm not gonna
I,
I'm
I,
not gonna I'm not
I
gonna I'm
just
not
checked
gonna
right.
spoil that, because that is actually a pretty big twist, and my
Yeah.
wife is upstairs and she hasn't seen the movie, but but if they had, yeah, but let's just say if they had revealed it and it was Henry Cavill and it was what you think Ultraman is going to be, as you and I both know, then that would have been, actually, that would have been more like
I,
honestly, that would have been more like what they've been doing with Michael
Cavalry.
Keaton Batman, and Tobey Maguire Spider Man and everything.
That'd be wild.
Um, but
Yeah.
but regardless,
So I had to do a quick double take. Like,
but honestly, now we're moving away from that. The fact that we're moving away from that James Gunn realized that the multiverse stuff is played out. Um, that's a good
oh, and I was watching some scenes. I showed my son. He wanted to see what Batman versus Superman was like, and I showed him like the fight scene. Everything is so much darker. It is such a breath of fresh air. Like just see the Superman. I mean, even the interdimensional Ib scene at night is more brighter than any sort of
Yeah, I really liked I liked
Snyder.
Metamorpho. I liked that how quickly he turned. Like, as soon as Lex took things too far, Metamorpho was like, you can save my son, and he's like, well, I need the and the thing is like, I can't make a son.
We gotta stop.
I can only make kind of a son. Like, that was
Oh, that was
like, I really appreciated him, like, because there's other worse versions of this movie. He would have just let everything, one thing after another after another after another, and then something would turn him. But in this, it's like the first time that Lex shoots somebody in front of him, he's like, no, I've no further. Like, I have to, if people are going to die. Um, and Yeah, just in general, another thing, just in general, I felt like, you talk about, you wanted to spend more time with some of the characters. For how many characters are in this movie? Like, I was afraid this was going to be one of those movies that has, 75 underdeveloped characters, or a bunch of characters who seem like they're prominent in the previews and then you barely see them. But like, Lois was fully fleshed out, and they made her like a believable actual journalist. Um,
everybody got a moment
yeah,
at
yeah,
least.
Jimmy.
I mean, Jimmy's going to be hilarious. I mean, if they do a Jimmy Olsen movie, I mean, he's just going to be bringing in. It's like him running away from
Mhm,
supermodels.
mhm.
It'll be. It's just.
Jimmy
or
Olsen
Crazy Toad.
was great, like competent, believably competent. I loved that, like, even again, like, this is one of those like attention to detail things where it wouldn't happen in a worse movie. When Lois writes the article, she dictates the article, Jimmy types it out, and then even though like the world is ending, still hands it to Perry so that he can edit it. So like they go through the appropriate steps, and Jimmy has to click in the three places to post to the thing, and every like it is like a worse movie. She would have literally just dictated it, and then it would show people reading it. I really appreciated them going out of the way to be like, no, we did this the right way. The first time that they have a Superman interviewing himself article, Lois calls him out on it. Like I really appreciated like that kind of stuff. I think this was one of the best interpretations of Lois that I've seen. I like that she does approach the Justice Gang to get them to help because she would, but she's not like the one that says, "Hey, Superman," and throws him a thing, and then that's the thing that saves the day or whatever. Like she's she's there. Yeah, Crypto is a character that I was very like. There's no way they're going to do this right. He's going to be insufferable, and he probably will be insufferable in the sequel. I really hope that he's not obnoxious in Woman of Steel.
I don't know if they're going to
wait
keep
a
her.
second.
Like, I mean, that if she's.
Wait a second. I just remembered that the entire premise of Woman of Steel is that Crypto is poisoned, and she has to go.
Oh,
heal
really?
it. She has to go like get the. She has to track down the guy that poisoned him in order to.
So now they just put him down.
Well, no.
That's how
They
they're
won't put
going
him
to
down, but he's like he will be out of commission, so he's not going to be.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I'm not like.
He's not going to be like. Like I was afraid he was going to be on stage with he was going to be the baby Groot of the
whole
of
movie
the
jumping around.
The second movie, but yeah, he's going to be
funny.
like the whole movie is. Of course, the problem is James Gunn doesn't have the best track record when it comes to dealing with animal cruelty, but we'll.
Well, and honestly, that was like I was kind of surprised, with the Crypto, how they're keeping him was just like the squirrel thing, and
I liked that.
not
I
something.
like that he's a dog.
Yeah,
like he's not hyper intelligent or whatever. He's just a dog, and he's not like I don't.
Well, did you see any of the James Gunn interviews about Crypto and how he used it basically from his dog experience?
I kind of avoided most of the James Gunn interviews that I could.
Well, I just happened to stumble on one, and I thought it was pretty good. But he's like, we actually did a 3D model of the dog that we rescued from a shelter, and he's like, when we dress it, it's like he's just a bad dog. He just chews through everything. He jumps through stuff, and it's like, I mean, he's a good dog, but he's just a disobedient dog. And he's like, what if he had superpowers? And it's like, that's why. And he's like, the ear thing, he's like, had the same thing. So he's like, and I loved, and it's kind of funny, I'm thinking like, why would Superman call his dog a foster situation?
Oh yeah.
And obviously it ties in at the end where it's, and it's still funny too, where he's explaining with Mr. Trevor, he's like, I just didn't want him to kill their cows.
Right. You see him messing with the cows. Yeah. And Mr. Terrific was great. I hope that that's not a racist take on a character like that. I felt like he was definitely playing up into some stereotypes, but in general I thought he was.
I think the black community seems to be positive over it, and honestly, I found him
entertaining. I found him at a good take on a neurodivergent character. Like he comes across as a little bit autistic, but not in a punchline way.
Super intelligent. I was dying in the theater. I might have been the only one with just the slow garage door. I'm like, oh,
so that was a James Gunn. That was a James Gunn joke. That was a James Gunn joke that I was like, eh.
Well, so that's for me. That's a Michael Myers. That's a Gold member, or one of those stupid jokes from back then. That's the stupid humor.
It might hit. Makes me laugh hit on second viewing now that I know that it's a good movie. because that's the kind of thing where it's like if you're on board with it, then it's funny. But if you're a little bit hesitant, you're like,
I could tell there's people there. I mean, they just didn't react to it. They're just like, "Why is this
I really
taking so
liked.
long?"
So
Um,
speaking of the of his Mr. Terrific mobile or whatever that thing is, which which I did not
oh yeah,
recognize from the comics, but it reminded me a lot of Night Owl's ship.
yeah. So I
Um,
was like,
I
I
know
wonder if
that
there'd be connection.
I
That'd
haven't
be
read a
kind of
lot
funny
of
if it got passed down.
Mr. Terrific, but I mean I know the T spheres is a thing. But I really like that he was like it's super intuitive driving, and then Lois like cannot figure out how to drive it, but she figures it out by the end.
Oh,
And
his fight scene was really good too. I think that was a lot of fun.
and
Um,
and Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, I thought he again he could have. I was afraid they were gonna go super over the top with the Nathan Fillion Guy Gardner-ness, and they didn't. He was dialed back. I still think he looks 1,000 years old, and I think they even made makeup. They gave him makeup to make his face like more splotchy and stuff to make him look even older. So which is weird to me because I think of Guy Gardner as being young, but but that's like a I think that's kind of a nitpick, and it worked. Like he was kind of an asshole, kind of self absorbed, but also like you could tell that he had sort of a lawful um
well, he talks about like the oath and stuff like that. So it's like one of those where I mean, he's obviously super cocky. I think he likes the attention, but it was one of those like, I mean, I kind of felt like he respected Hawk Girl, or she'd tell him to calm down, or he'd step back. And but even too when he says or Metamorpho's like, "Oh, Justice Gang, that's cool." He's like, "All right, you're in." It's like he's a big softy. He just wants to look like, and honestly, this movie, I had the perfect opportunity to explain to my son what the middle finger means. Um, I was like, all right. I was like, what's that? I'm like, that's so he's like waving his hand away, then he floats up the middle finger. I'm like, that means he doesn't like them at all. It's a way of saying it without saying it. But don't do that to other people, please. Um, but just with some of the constructs were fun. Even just kind of watching them in the back, like with the big, almost like the construct bat hitting the that little monster. They got bigger. But like you said, they kind of doubted back. They kind of peppered in the Justice Gang. It was definitely enough to make
yeah,
me excited to see more. And I think Lantern's wrapped up, so I'm interested to see if or how much
yeah,
Guy is going to be
it was
involved with that.
nice.
So I
It was
mean,
nice that
makes
the
me
Justice
excited.
Gang was only 3 members. I think if they'd have tried to have like 5 members or 6 members, and then they're just trying to get Superman to finish it off, they would have stretched it too thin. I think 3 members we got enough time with. I mean, they didn't do a lot with Hot Girl, but I mean, she didn't need a lot. They did they did enough with her, and they did enough with Guy, and then we got a lot of time with Mr. Terrific, and yeah, a really interesting take on the character. Even that a lot of people compared him to Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, which is where like I wondered if maybe there were some racist caricatures that I wasn't picking up on.
I mean, I could see some of the slang or some of the verbiage maybe almost sound a little forced. I kind of felt that maybe a little bit. Where like, is it was like a caricature kind of
But I
ish a
mean,
little
if the
bit?
black community is
Um,
embracing him, then I'll go with that. Like,
I mean, everyone's like just calling him a scene stealer, and that's the thing is like I think there definitely had characters there that really did, and obviously he had enough screen time. And I love like I mean, you got to think with these big movies, what's another offset, and it wasn't like that other foreign country. They just created a pocket dimension, which had a visually was really cool, dark but still vibrant. I mean, like that electron river was really cool. I mean, that was a neat scene. Um, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't wait to see it again. And I felt bad. My parents, I think the same day they were going to go see the new Jurassic Park movie. I'm just like, I don't know if you guys want to do that. I think you should probably really go see Superman. And I would have been more emphatic about it before if I would
yeah,
have known.
I ended up
Um,
I was going to see it with my wife today, but we ended up deciding to see it tomorrow. The and we she had kind of wanted to see Jurassic World, and I kind of talked her into seeing Superman. So hopefully she likes it. But I think I think she had some of the same hesitations that I had going into it. So hopefully she'll, those hesitations will not be relevant. Um, but
Oh yeah, I mean, in the ending too, perfect, wrapped it all up, and I mean, obviously James Gunn knows how to take an obscure song and just put a bow on things. Um, and I mean, that Iggy Pop song will be overplayed. I mean, I'm sure it's probably overplayed right now. I honestly don't want to hear it anymore. But yeah, it's still such a great song, and the ending with his family and the new stuff. It was,
yeah,
I don't know, and just how they did Lex, great character too. I mean, that's one thing too. I think hopefully that he gets enough credit. He just such a great bad guy, man. Lex is
he
a son
okay.
of a bitch, and just so
So
smart with it.
he did such a good job of being like a believable modern take on Lex Luthor that kind of goes with everything everybody. But there's an angle of that like sort of monologuing, like like very verbose, just a little bit crazy version of Lex Luthor I've seen a lot of times in the comics, and I don't know that I've seen in any adaptations, because usually in adaptations they lean into like the sort of cool, calm, like smartest guy in the room version of Lex Luthor. And in this one they were able to just without making him ridiculous, just sort of giving him that, like, he's like he gets a little bit, he's got like that little bit of an angry crazy streak, and just like, yeah, what, it's so, yeah, so good.
Well, of course, too. I mean, with the gunshot, it's like, definitely didn't expect that. It's like, oh, this happened way quicker than I thought. Well, I'll see you here soon with the next person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, he's kind of ruthless and obviously diabolical and smart. And um, yeah, I think he has really interesting development. I'm like, why are you just putting him in the back of that truck with like no handcuffs or like any sort of escorts? I'm like, he's going to get free. I bet
Well,
he
he'll
will.
or get off. No, he won't get free.
Uh,
He'll have the lawyers to get out of jail free,
uh,
or he'll team up with Superman in the next movie against Brainiac, or something like that. Who knows? Um,
run for
they
president.
leaned into, also they leaned into like the sort of his racism angle, like his you know xenophobia, or
Xenophobia, or
whatever,
his
however you
fear
want
of
to call it, but
alien
like
stuff.
the angle of him like hating Superman because he's an alien. I don't know that I've heard anybody outside of the comics call any version of Lex call Superman the alien outside of the comics. That definitely happens in the comics. Um, but like that, I like that, and it's just like, it's like they leaned into this other angle on him that I don't know that I've seen before in an adaptation. And I'm sure, I haven't seen every single version that we've ever had of Lex Luthor, but generally speaking, it was just like a lot of this stuff was a fresh take. It's like the opposite of what people said about, especially the first Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man, where it was like, okay, I feel like I've seen this exact movie before, and that was what I was afraid of.
With
That's what I was afraid of here, and that just didn't happen. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it just comes down to like, finally there's a good modern Superman movie. I think the Richard Donner movies were great. Superman and Superman 2 are terrific. I think everybody should see them. You can criticize them for their datedness or for little nitpicks or whatever, but they're great films, great performances. This is this is the best one since those movies, like without a doubt. And you know, even the TV shows, like Superman and Lois, the third season is bad, and I couldn't finish it. Smallville is 10 seasons, and a lot of it is really good, but it's 10 seasons, and it's also not
it.
Superman. It's it's Clark, which is a big, and granted he does the stuff, but it's not. At the end of the day, Smallville is not Superman, even if some of the things they do are the best adaptations. That's the best Lex. Sorry, Nicholas Holt. Uh, Michael Rosenbaum is the best Lex still, and probably always will be. Um, but like most of the adaptations, even like the '90s animated series is real good, but not it's not as good as Batman the animated series. Like I feel like this movie is
Yeah.
like it's as good as a Batman movie. That's how good it is.
Oh
I'm not saying
man,
it's better than The
the
Dark
world's
Knight.
finest
I'm
movie.
saying that if you sat that if you had only ever watched if the only DC movies you ever watched were the Batman movies, the Michael Keaton and the Christian Bale and the Robert Pattinson, like I think this one it fits in of similar quality, or it's as good as a Marvel movie. Like it's as good as maybe it's not quite as good as the original Iron Man, but like it would fit in.
I don't know. I think this was like. I mean, I think people. I think I saw it come in, or people giving like 8 out of 10, like early on. I'm like, that's not bad, but honestly, I don't know. It's good. I'd give it 8.59. I want to watch it again. I'm sure I'd probably pick up some other stuff. I'd really like to see what the
Hmm.
rewatchability is like. I mean, at the very least, I mean, I don't know if I'll buy it when streaming comes out, or if I'll just wait. I mean, I'll definitely rent it and watch it again. I
Yeah,
think that's one of those two where I mean, my son really enjoyed it, and I didn't even realize it was a PG-13 movie until obviously Lex Luthor pulled out the gun. I was like,
it's
oh, parental decisions, but that was like it. And then there was maybe some other more adult jokes that would have gone over any child's head, but that was like the only like part I would have maybe been like, hey, let's close our eyes for just a
yeah,
second,
yeah. Well,
pretend we
it
didn't see.
yeah. I mean, whether it's a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, I don't. It was real good, and what because like whatever I think it there's no asterisk to it. It was really good, and everybody should see it. And I think that's all I've got.
All right, my only two improvements would be more Clark time. I didn't get enough Clark. I think he's probably hilarious to interact with everybody else. I would even like to have seen like an end credit scene where it's just a couple minutes of him with the rest of the team, like in like a briefing meeting or something like that. I think that would have been cool. And I want a Superman theme. I wish we had like a definitive Superman dun 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 dun, dun
That's
like old John Williams. I want a definitive like a motherfucking
that's so
Superman's
funny
coming.
because that's actually the thing I haven't addressed. So I think the score in this movie is the one of the best film scores that I have heard in so long. Because I watched the trailer, and I was like, well, it's just the reason everybody's freaking out over the trailer is just because you're hearing that dun, 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 dun. And like I wanted to edit. I told people, and I didn't do this. One of these internet content ideas that would have made me famous, and then I didn't do it. But I wanted to edit that music,
Like the
the
yeah,
music from
don't.
the trailer, the music that we heard in the trailer. So the music that's in this movie, I wanted to edit that over the Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 trailer, just to prove that like it can make that music was so good it can make any trailer look amazing. Um, but I didn't. Uh, but every
I
time
mean, the new
every
Superman
time that
theme is
that theme hit, like it made me feel something. Like
yeah, well, and I think like so it's John Murphy and David Fleming. It's just I don't know. I think it's just a little bit more of a lower key type of version to it. I just want it
you
like
wanted the
I want to
the
hear that
heroic,
motherfucking orchestra come
the
through. Yeah, I want even when he's like showing up in that dust cloud, dun, 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 But either way, I still felt that adrenaline stuff like that. But yeah, it was. it was nice. And again, like that last fight scene, it was nice to see Superman really just open up with the laser beams coming out of his eyes. I know that was in the trailer. I mean, that was fun. Just that, him finally getting some sunlight and beating up on some people. It was
Also, like,
satisfying.
the other
And
thing
I could
is, like, I don't know who decided that the talking point of like Superman woke in this movie or whatever. I mean, other than like him, other than the fact that he was like that a billionaire was a bad guy, and he was like willing to step in against, like, I don't feel like it was a progressive his sort of anti-isolationist stance, like the idea of him being willing to step in and use his power for against governments is, I don't know that that's like a woke thing. Like it's a, if anything, it's like a meta
That's people projecting their
Superman
own
thing. Like
views on something.
I don't know. Like I did not find,
Well, Superman's not acting any different from any other source
well,
material. I mean, he's always
and it's
been like
like
this, unless you're talking
it's
Injustice.
not like, it's just like, I think that probably most right wing people would say that like good should conquer evil, or good should stand up to evil, and like I don't think that I don't think that I mean I don't think that like even like the people who are the most, like, nothing in here was specifically anti-Trump, demonized like a Trump figure. There was no Trump figure in this. There was no I mean, I guess it's like it was a little bit of like Superman as an immigrant thing, or so, I think they were like, you're you're an illegal, you're not a U.S. citizen, so you don't have any rights, I guess, was a thing.
And that's like Lex looking for an angle to demonize Superman. I mean, that's part of going back to like the whole monkey troll farm with the secret harem and just
Like
trying to come up with
the
some
monkey troll farm
BS,
was pretty good.
rumor, super
Yeah,
shit.
that's actually, that's the James Gunn thing that seemed a little weird, was like his parents telling him to take lots of wives and spread the seed of Krypton. It seemed a little weird. That it,
Well, and I've heard some theories that maybe it was corrupted by Zod, or he
uh,
would be the only one that would be able to
some other,
like adjust it. And
yeah,
who knows? That could be
it
like
did kind of
something
seem
later
like,
on.
yeah,
Like
it did
we'll
kind of seem
actually
like
find out.
there was another shoe that would drop on that, but also it's,
But wouldn't you think his cousin would know? Like, I mean, wouldn't it be kind of like that sort of mentality across their families?
she
Like, I mean,
she would,
I don't
well,
know.
she was a kid and she was just supposed to watch over him. I don't know. Maybe we'll get more detail on that. Um, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Kara probably would have known if the reason that they were sending him, and she would be supposed to take lots of husbands, I guess. Maybe that's not how that works.
Maybe they were supposed to keep the bloodline strong, like the old like
I don't know about
Habsburg
that.
dynasty. Maybe they just interbreed so much that you got a bunch of weird looking super people. Maybe that's when you get Bizarro. Like a millennia down the
Okay,
line, and
okay. Well,
yeah, sorry, yeah,
we don't need to,
drifting.
I won't be clipping that for YouTube. Um,
Yeah, clip that one.
the only people that
James
can hear
Gunn,
that, the only
inbreeding
people
for
that can hear that
centuries.
are the people who stuck around for an hour and 18 minutes. Um,
The Patreon view. The Patreon
yeah,
members.
yeah. But yeah, but yeah. Anyway, I think obviously it's good. Go see it. Go see it in theaters. It's worth seeing in theaters. Seeing in IMAX.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Maybe I'll go do that. Maybe I'll
yeah,
try to see it in IMAX.
I've got the AMC A list that I love, and I have not used it to see an IMAX movie yet. So yeah, I need to do that. All right, I think we can probably wrap things up. So thanks everyone for listening. And so next, what did we decide? Sheriff of Babylon for next month. Yeah. So read
Sounds
Sheriff of
good.
Babylon for the next step before the next episode. Until next time, keep reading those comics.
Clip it.
This podcast is a production of the KendallCast Podcast Network. You can support the show for just $2 a month at patreon.com/KendallCast or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Every little bit helps.